One mini world, one creation dream.
Now that you understand how it works for monetization and how it works for marketing, let's move for the part about the extended differential, okay? So as I mentioned before, one of the main focus of my differential is the star system. Your lives will depend on how many stars you have. On all the games you have to keep keeping stars or taking stars, and after 5 rounds the player with less stars is going to be eliminated from the game. Another system that I use for be different to the other maps and to be more interested is that I use a difficulty system. Every time that 5 rounds pass, the difficulty will be increased, so you are going to lose more stars if you die. As an example, first round you are going to lose 3 stars. In the second round, after another 5 minigames, you are going to lose 4 stars if you die. And if you get into the third round, you are going to lose 6 stars. If you get into the fourth round, you are going to lose 9 stars. And in one player, I got up to 21 stars. So every time I die, I was losing 21 stars, and it was very hard because it was very hard to complete that part, okay? Now, another important thing is that all the minigames that are here are going to be simple minigames, guys, okay? So if you realize in most of the minigames, you don't have to understand too much. It's something that you can understand very quickly, guys, okay? So as an example, in the rockets, it's just picking stars while a rocket is following you, okay? The other one, and here it's just going to be just to pull and pick the stars from the center. Sometimes it will spawn a mine instead of a star. In this one, you have to keep running from a cow that actually can kill you. On here, you have to bait the meteors. On here, you have to play green light, red light. And like that are things that are very easy to understand that most of the players will know. And that is the hardest work on here, okay? And I need you to think about that, guys, because doing a game is easy, but doing an easy game that all the players are going to understand is kind of difficult because you need to think a lot, okay? Once more, let me show you this. And it's once more my sketch notes. As you see here, I have all the games. I have to think a lot about the games that I will create, okay? So think about this. If the players need to think too much about what they have to do, that game is not cool. You need to create another game that will be simple. Third differential, the elimination round, as I mentioned before. Fourth differential, the loot system. And finally, one that is another important dynamic is respawnable coins. That means that every time that you die, you are going to drop your coins and other players can pick up coins. And of course, if you can reborn before time and reach the place where you die, you will be able to recover your stars. And this is very important. We are going to start with the map creation, okay? So guys, now that we finished this topic, I will read your comments, but very important, I also going to give you some mini points, okay? All right. So in that part, I hope everything is clear, guys. If you have any question, just let me know, and please check the chat right now. Just check the chat because I already sent to you a code in the chat. So you will be able to see that part right here. Or let me show you the chat. Yeah, around this area you will find like the code right here, okay? So go to the chat and pick that and just claim that one. Okay? And after this we are going to start with the gameplay building, okay? So, very important, guys. If you have questions, just let me know, okay? Okay. All right, so okay, guys. So I think you already would be able to climb the codes. So let's start with the next part, okay? So very important, guys, when you create the game, okay, there's going to be some specific specifications, like telling the same word 2 times, but there's going to be some specific dimensions that you have to keep to play the game, okay? And that's why I'm going to tell you some specific things. First, the map size is going to be different because you are going to have a lot of minigames, but you have to keep some specific distance between the walls and the map, okay? So let me pick up here, and this is very important, guys. Take note of this because this is going to be one of the most important parts to make the game work fine, okay? So first, you have to pick the center of your map, okay? And starting from the center of your map to the border, actually this is not going to be the best example. Let me just pick another minigame that is going to be easy to measure here. So let's use this one that doesn't have too much walls, okay? So from this center of your map to the end of the map is going to be 12 blocks of difference, okay? So you are going to have 12 blocks from the center, but most important, guys, from side to side, including the walls, you have to have at least 25 blocks, okay? Let me just do a double check here. Yes, guys, 25 blocks from wall to all the corners, okay? That's going to be the first rule, guys. And I'm going to tell you later that, okay? Now, the game that I designed is going to be just for 8 players. And let me explain why, guys. MiniWorld wants to create a free fall, guys, but remember that MiniWorld is most playable in cell phones, okay? So this game is playable in cell phones and most of the players are in cell phone. Most of the rooms are going to be only playable for 6 people. And there is another thing, and it's the lag. As more people joins to the server, more lag you are going to have. So playing with 8 players is going to be the best way to actually have players. So you can play with 6 players in cell phones and with 8 players in a computer. And this is very important. Design the game for a specific amount of players because this is not going to be the same playing with 40 people that just 8 people. Probably with a lot of people is going to be bored because your game is not going to have like too much difficulty, okay? But with 8 people, it's going to be enough. Now the characters are going to be space miners. The conditions for my game for winning is going to be if you in 1 player, if you don't have coins in the starting of the round, you are going to die. In multiplayer is going to be the last one standing. Now the story is very simple. It works about that you are trapped on a mine and you are working for that mine, and the owners of the mine will kill you if you don't get enough stars. You have to keep mining stars in the area. And that's it. It's very simple, guys, okay? So, let's start with the building of the map, okay? First, let me show you how I create my maps, okay? When I'm going to create a mini game here, what I do is just to do first the base for the mini map, okay? So let me take one of those. For this and for just creating your maps, I'm going to submit a video about like the process that I follow to create the first one. You are going to have that in the description. And I think I'm going to submit that video just tomorrow or the day after. But what I do the most is just to copy the previous space. Remember, guys, how much is the size is going to be 25 blocks by 25 blocks, okay? All right, so when I start with this, once more, you are going to have a map that is having, and very important, guys, take a look to the measures here. It's going to have from size to size 25 blocks, okay? Let me change this también also. Okay, so it's going to have 25 for plus 25 blocks, including the walls. Inside the playable area is going to be for 23 blocks from sides to sides, guys, okay? And that is very important. That is the most important thing about your minigames. The first thing that you have to build, and this is very important, guys, is the elimination room, okay? So, in my case, the elimination room is going to be the map that is going to be in the center, okay? So just remember 25 by 25 blocks, including the walls. And this is very important. We are going to have different systems to spawn the players. So we have a system that allows you to spawn the players in the center, a system that allows you to create the players, to spawn the players in the borders or your minigame, and another one that will allow you to create or spawn the players in random area. So you have to try keeping on this, try not to cover too much area here. Okay, try not to cover all the area. The players, of course, are going to be saved, but try to not cover everything because probably your players are going to be stuck, okay? So first, let me give you a look over all the maps so you are going to see how it works, the full construction, okay, of the map. Let's change this once more and let's put far away here. Okay. So what you are going to see is that all the mini games are going to be around the elimination room. So this is the elimination room, and I start building around it. So this was the first game that I built. This was the second. This was the third. This was the fourth. This was the 9, and like that. And once I finish to cover all this area, I start moving around and I start going around again once more around this area. The important thing is that the area where the players are going to be eliminated or where the story is going to be around the center, okay? Another important thing, guys, you don't need to just put the games next to each other like I did. You can have more space, but I recommend to do it in that way because when all the maps are going to be together, you have to load less things every time that you move from map to map, okay? So the rooms or the arenas are going to be simpler, guys. Just put a wall. You can place one block as a wall, but try to decorate inside the walls, okay? As you see, it's not that much complicated. I really do a simple decorations because players are not going to take too much time to look into the decoration because the most important about this thing is going to be the simplicity, guys, okay? Remember once more, guys, the size of the full room is going to be 25 by 25, okay, including the walls. Now let me read you very quickly here. Okay, you are talking about Suba. All right, so. Okay, chat, Chai, how are you? Chai Yi. I hope I pronounce it right. I'm very bad at Asian names once more because in Spanish we don't have that much words. We have like different ways to use the words, so it's kind of difficult. Yes. Okay, so if it's giving you errors with the codes, just let me know, okay? All right. So now, guys, once you have those ideas completed, guys, all right? So now you know how to design a minigame, okay? So I'm going to start design my own extra minigame, okay? I got a lot of ideas in paper, and I'm going to use one of them, okay? This is the minigame that I'm going to implement extra, so I'm going to create the arena. So remember we took this arena, right? This arena was the one that we just copied. The easier way to modify this is just by using this tool. What I'm going to do is to select all the area, okay? And I'm going to switch some blocks. Very important, guys, you have to be very careful with this. Your blocks in all the arena need to be completely resistant to blast. If you are going to use explosions, be sure that your map is resistant to blast, okay? So first thing I use is just to press the 6 key that allow me to switch the blocks, okay? So I'm going to change the dirt blocks in here. I'm going to just put a different blocks here. And I want to use something very similar to this. This game that I'm going to create is going to be a rock floor, and what you have to do on this one is that you need to actually place a space a lot of times to try to move your ship faster, okay? And you have to pick a start. It's an easy game. So first I changed the floor. Of course, now I will have to change the decorations. So first thing that I'm going to do is to remove the other part. Please note that another thing that I'm doing is that I'm keeping the altitude, okay? All the blocks are going to have, or all the maps are going to have the same altitude. So they are going to look very similar. And here something happens, I forgot to delete this part. So let's destroy this. And let's change this, so I'm going to get more speed in my game once more. And all right, so I have the base for here. Now I'm going to start to decorate a little bit. So you need to think about the space, guys, okay? In my case, this map, it doesn't need to have any specific thing because the players are going to spawn around the borders, okay? So when you are going to create a minigame, think about this. Your players are going to spawn around the center, are going to spawn around the corner, the sides, or they are going to spawn in random area. So in this specific game, are going to spawn around the borders, okay? So the system is going to spawn the players in any part around 3 blocks from the border. So in this case, those 3 blocks are going to be those, okay? So I always do the 3 blocks, and very important, guys, I give another block just in case. You know, if you spawn the players around the border, probably the players are going to fall as soon as they walk because, you know, they can be looking to the other side and they can just try to move backwards and they are going to die very quickly, okay? So I'm going to use this one to mark the area. Okay, so let's remove the area that we are not going to use. We have 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. And starting here, the players are not going to spawn, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. And the 5 block is the one that we are not going to use, okay? Ready, okay? So, let me explain a little bit more the game. The players are going to spawn in random area, as I mentioned before. And they are going to look at the center of the map, okay? So as an example, a player is going to be here, another is going to be in this area, and another player is going to be here. And they are going to look each other, but what they have to do is to just using the jump button, and they are going to have like a rocket design, a rocket model, and the model, as much as you press space, is going to try to start flying around, okay? So that's how the map is going to work, the minigame is going to work. So this area is not going to be used, okay? So what I'm going to do for that area is going to place a different floor. So the players are not going to be able to move in this specific part of the arena. And let's do this. We are going to use another block just to give some contrast to the floor. As I'm using sci-fi or technologic things, I'm going to use a different block for the floor here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give that industrial look with the rust floor. So players are going to be around this area. This area is not useful, as it's not going to have anything. We can decorate it as we want, okay? So remember, I'm going to decorate that area because the borders are not going to be used. Okay, so the borders, is where the players are going to spawn. If I will do it in the other way, that means if I will spawn the players in the center, I can decorate this area around, okay? Now, let's start by creating anything on here. As an example, I can create a lot of things here, okay? But I want you to, I'm just not going to do too much because we are not going to have enough time for the other things. Let me create another couple of things here. 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. Okay, we are going to move here 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks inside. Okay, I moved myself too much. Let's start over. Okay, let's get into area 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks, 5 block here. And let's take to the other side once more. 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks. The 5 block is the one that we are going to use. We are going to delete this. And of course, you can decorate the other parts as you want. As an example, I will do a quick decoration here. I don't want to take that time from your end, so I'm going to use very quick decoration with just 3 items, okay? So I'm going to put a border here with just 1 material, so players will notice the difference better, a little bit better. Okay, I don't know why it's that slow right now. I only have 36 FPS here. And that is making my game a little bit slower and it's hard to point with. But well, you will understand the idea. It's kind of difficult to put now by the system. For some reason is working very slow. Okay. All right, Twang, try to reload the YouTube page because mine is working fine, guys. You have problems with the streaming? Just let me know if it's not loading right, okay? And yeah, it's a little bit lag. All right, now I'm going to put some some columns here that will look like an station here. Okay, so now let's put some extra details to the decoration. Alright, so as you see, it's very simple because I don't want to take that time. It's just a simple decoration here. And imagine that we get our map ready with this. Of course, I'm going to remove this because we don't need it. I'm going to put those instead. Alright, so now, as we got this, we have our first part of the map ready. Why the map stability is high? I don't know, but check my frames. For some reason, the game is a little... Oh, I know why. Because by mistake, I opened Game Maker. Now it will run a little bit faster, yes. It was my mistake, it was not MiniWord mistake. Alright, now let's move here. And once you have your map finished, the design of your map, what you have to do is just to put that map on the next round, okay? So how do you do that? Using this tool, you are going to switch to this mode, and you are going to have this option. Let me put this so you will be able to see a little bit better all the tools that I'm using. So using this will allow you to move the selection that you have to another place. So as an example, if I move X, you are going to see that the green part, or the blue part is moving here. And I use this to just be sure where it's going to be put on. Okay, on this side it match. Now let's move the Z-axis here until we be sure that actually is going to be well situated right now. And then we are going to move the Y, that is the altitude, okay guys? And that's it. It seems that now it's going to match. I just put it on here. And right now we have our area moved next to the other mini games, okay? So Important things, guys. Okay, so welcome. I see that that some of you are already coming. You have, every time that you create your map, guys, there is going to be an important thing here. And the most important thing is that you take note of the center coordinates of your map, okay? So, just to show you the right center, the center of my map is going to be this one, okay? And I'm going to tell you why, okay? The system that we are going to make, it's going to detect the center of the minigame, and it's going to calculate by itself the borders, okay? So just by placing the center of the minigame, it's going to tell you or detect that your minigame has a borders around 12 blocks of distance from the center to each side, okay? So just memorize the center. Once you are in the center, you go here to the mini map, and on here you are going to have the coordinates. So let's do this. Let's take note of this. You can use any notepad or whatever you have, and you take this, okay? So minigame A1, in my case it's like minigames 21, but in your case it's going to be minigame 1, okay? You are going to put coordinates are going to be 49, that is going to be X. Then we are going to take the altitude, that is going to be 3. And then we are going to take the Y section, the C section, okay? So this is going to be X, this is going to be Y, and this is going to be C. All right? Just check if I use here the option that says I'm here, it's going to tell me the same coordinates, 49, 66, and the altitude is, or the coordinate 3, okay? And that's how you build. It's, as you see, it's very simple. The only thing that you need to be careful about is that you don't pass that size. And also very important, guys, remember the first thing that we are going to build is the center, okay? And why is important this center? On here, on the center of your map, every 5 rounds you are going to be teleported, and the players can spend or put things in the sword. So this is going to be the first room that you are going to design. And right after that, you are going to design room by room for each one of the minigames. I forget completely where we were. Where is the minigame that we just placed? Let me start searching around for it once more. Okay, it's right here. Okay, so that are going to be the basic rules about the construction of your map, okay? Now, you need to think about, for each minigame, apart from this, you need to think once more about that is going to be small and simple design, as I mentioned before, in the part about how it's being constructed. You need to look for the center once more. The rooms, full size, including the walls, it's going to be 25 by 25. The obstacles, when you put the obstacles, you will need to test if it works. If you find out that actually it's not working fine, try to change the obstacles. We have 3 ways to spawn the players, once more, random area, on the borders, or in the center of the map. The coins are going to work like that also. It can spawn randomly, it can spawn in the borders, or in the center of the map. The custom rules are going to be for your map, of course. As an example, let me show you a quick example. The rules for this one are going to be different, so you have to pay attention. The players are going to spawn around the center, and the stars are going to spawn around the corners. But of course, the stars are going to spawn around the towers, okay? As an example, on here, it doesn't matter where the coin or where the players are going to be spawned, because they are going to be able to play in all the area. On this one, the coins are only going to spawn on the centers, and the players are going to spawn in the borders. So think about that once more. And finally, we got the custom rules about how it's going to work. So you need to think also about your minigame, if the player can move, if the player can attack, if the player can walk or can jump, or if the player can do a lot of things, okay? Think about that because it's going to be very important for your map. And once more, your design needs to be plus resistance, okay? So now that we finish in here, we are going to move to the next section, and